Amen. The reckless love of God. Thank you all so much for being here today. I know it's definitely a busy time in the semester, but after today we have one more chapel service. That'll be Tuesday, a week from today, and it'll be a Christmas music spectacular. You'll definitely not want to miss that. But today is another one of our special chapels that we get to experience each semester. Today we have the opportunity to hear from 5 seniors who'll be graduating in just a few weeks. I'm going to introduce all of them, and they're going to come up in succession without any further introduction. They'll all be sharing a little part of their Lee University journeys. To lead us off is Libby Hennon. Libby's a public relations and music major. She's from Springboro, Ohio. Following Libby is Miguel Pimentel. He's receiving a degree in international business, and he is from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Coming after Miguel is John Boro. He is a music major, and he hails from Cumming, Georgia. Coming forth is Annie Weir. Annie's a business management degree recipient. She hails from Franklin, Tennessee. And wrapping us up today, number 5 is Brandon Yawn. Brandon is an elementary education major, and he's from right here in Cleveland, Tennessee. Let's welcome to the stage our first speaker, Libby Hennon.
So because of my job in the admissions office, I actually have a lot of practice telling my Lee story. I've been telling it for years now, talking to people on campus tours, trying to show them why they should make Lee their home. But this time it's a little different because I get to tell it to the people who were there to shape my story. But unlike an hour, I only have 5 minutes, so let's get started. Unlike some of my peers, I had no connections to Lee before I came. Both of my parents met at Ohio State, and all 3 of my siblings decided to go to universities in Ohio. But all it took was one frontline day in 2014 to convince me to break away from the pack of my family tradition and come to Lee University. I actually knew that I wanted to come here so much, it was the only school I applied to. So Bree Green, my freshman roommate, who also happened to be my sophomore, junior, and senior year roommate, was the only person I knew when I came to campus. We didn't do summer honors, so we had to find friends another way. Naturally, I chose to audition for every choir on campus, and it worked. I became a member of the Lee University Singers and immediately entered a family of 54 eclectic musicians. And although I was only a minor in music, I was quickly accepted into the music community here at Lee, and I've had the opportunity to be a part of 4 different ensembles during the past 4 years. Freshman year taught me the importance of surrounding yourself with positive people. Because even though the transition into college was really tough for me, I always had my singers family or my roommates to help me get through it. Moving closer into my sophomore year is when all of my friends decided it was time to rush a Greek club. And my 2 closest friends, Savannah Ogle and Sophie Bell, both rushed Sigma and DZT. So I got to watch firsthand the positive impact that those clubs had on their life. And don't get me wrong, I probably would have rushed one too, but I had just accepted a position as resident assistant in Davis First. I was planning on working with the best Res Life team. It was such a good experience, and I was also in charge of 40 underclassmen girls. Whew, a party. So I wouldn't have the time necessary to fully commit to a Greek club. But what if there was a club I didn't have to commit to? You know, a club just like designed for busy college students who just want a cool jersey. Unfortunately, that club did not exist until the spring of 2016 when me and my roommates sat in Sharp Davis and decided to make our own club. That was the night that Alpha Chi Apple Pie was founded. We started out with only 6 members, and now, thanks to the power of social media and a general love of t-shirts, we have over 240 members. And of course, it's made up of the busiest majors. We have nursing majors, business, music, a whole array. We even have 3 faculty sponsors. So maybe we're more official than fake, I don't know. And I will admit, Alpha Chi Apple Pie has had its ups and downs in popularity, but to me, it's been the most unexpected blessing in my college career. I've met 240 people that I probably wouldn't have met otherwise, and it's been such a good experience. That club taught me that if you're not perfectly comfortable with the group that you're involved with, you can always create the one that you want. Quickly moving on to junior year, I decided to become a peer leader and was assigned to Dr. Sheik's Gateway class. It was in this class that I was able to get all the benefits of being an RA, but I didn't have to stay up till midnight to check their curfew. A win-win. So even now, those students that were in my Gateway class are the students I look forward to seeing the most on campus. And it's really cool over the past 2 years getting to watch them succeed and also having them encourage me in what I'm doing. Junior year in that Gateway class showed me that it's never too late to make new friends. So I hope you guys are taking advantage of those opportunities too. Finally, senior year. I needed to focus back on my major, so I chose to apply for the Bateman competition team. Most of you have probably never heard of this class, but it's a year-long public relations course with only 5 students and 1 professor. I was so excited that I was finally going to get some hands-on experience in my major before graduating. I worked with Micah, Micaiah, Jessica, and Maddie, a driven group of people who were going to crush this competition. It was by far the hardest class I've ever taken at Lee University. And guys, I've taken music history. It was bad. But all the all-nighters, all the stress, it was all worth it because at the very end, our Bateman team came away ranking in the top 12% of universities in the country. It was during that time that the Lord confirmed for me that public relations was the right path, and I cannot wait to move to Orlando in January and see how the Lord uses those gifts. All the moments that at one point just seemed like possibilities actually became realities here at Lee, and it honestly hurts having to say goodbye to all of those things. This past month has been difficult for me, going through a series of lasts, as I'm sure you all are aware of. My last frontline, my last recital, my last Lee update recording, the list goes on. But I'm so sure that the past 4.5 years have been the best season of my life so far. I'm still the same Libby I was when I arrived. I'm just a much better version of that girl, thanks to my time at Lee. And I'm so glad that this series of choices in my life started here, and I'm so proud to be a part of the Lee University family. Thank you.
Buenos días. Antes que nada, quiero dar las gracias a Dios por permitirme esta oportunidad de estar aquí delante de ustedes. Le quiero mandar saludos a mi familia en República Dominicana y a todos los que me están viendo también. So if you didn't get any of that, congratulations to how I felt when I got here. Some of you might know me from the baseball team or from swapping your card at the rec center. Maybe you have taken my Latin dance class at the rec center, or maybe we had class together. Perhaps you have seen me line judging at the volleyball games. But if you don't know me from any of these places, you for sure have seen me around campus riding that one wheel. I'm that guy. And yeah, I know, I don't stop on the stop sign. It's kind of like a cultural thing or something. But not many of you guys know how I got here, and this is kind of like the short version of it. I was recruited during a cross-cultural trip to the Dominican Republic, where the baseball team went there in Christmas break of 2015. I signed with Lee on December 16 of the same year and came here on January 13 of the following year. And yes, that's only 4 weeks. You probably know that international students have to pass an English test and the SAT and ACT to be able to come here and study in America. And I did, and I thought I knew English before coming here. The reality is I didn't. At least not for the first 4 weeks, as I sat through my classes and left the classroom just wondering if the professor said the word homework at some point, so at least I didn't miss that. I understood about 40% of what was said in class, and it was a very rough beginning for me. At the same time I was trying to survive in class, I was trying to figure out what my coach wanted me to do in practice. And I had to ask my roommate. I remember asking my roommate after every meeting, hey, what did he say? And he'll have to summarize that for me very slowly. Some of you that have taken either Spanish or any other language in high school before know the struggle of talking to somebody who speaks really fast. And for me, everyone spoke like they were narrating a horse race all the time here. I came here mainly for baseball. I was a catcher and third baseman, but after my freshman year, I decided I liked third base a lot better, so I concentrated my efforts in becoming a better third baseman. To my surprise, quite a few people doubted I could be good in that position, and even advised me to just stick with catching and forget about third base. This just increased my desire to not only be a good third baseman, to just become the best in that position, just to prove them wrong. My sophomore year, I was having a really good year until I got hit by a pitch on my ankle, causing a fracture. That even though I managed to play with the injury for about 3 weeks, it ended my season early for about a month. Then my first game of my junior year, I rolled my ankle. I had a high ankle sprain on the very first game of the season. And again, although I managed to play with the injury, I wasn't really able to show the type of player I wanted to be. Last spring, I played my last season as a Leaf Flame, and it was my opportunity to show who I really am as a player, and God allowed me to do so this time. I was selected as the top third baseman in the NCAA Division II South region, also receiving All-American honors. And you remember those classes I struggled with when I first got here? Well, somehow I managed to be in the Gulf South Conference honor roll for the 4 past years. And here I am, 18 days away from receiving my diploma in international business. But what did I learn here at Lee? Simply, not to learn the circumstances or anyone tell me what I'm capable of. Thank you.
There is a certain kind of joy and a certain kind of excitement that only comes with the prospect of a new beginning. Like many of you, my decision to come to Lee was filled with an electrifying sense of anticipation. I arrived gleefully and bright-eyed to what I soon discovered was the pillar of this institution, the solid rock on which this very campus stands on, Medlin Hall. My mind was swarming with prospects, with dreams, and the joy of this new freedom I was about to step into. But what I looked forward to more than anything was knowing that I had a blank slate. I looked forward to knowing that this was a time where I could decide what kind of story I wanted to write. But this was the beginning of me realizing that though we can tell our own stories and build our own lives, our lives and stories are most beautiful when we hand God the pencil. The beginning of my story was when I joined Lee Singers. I'm a Bachelor of Arts in Music, and I came to Lee blissfully ignorant about the fact that I needed to join an ensemble to fulfill my degree requirements. I held no prior knowledge about anything regarding singers, and to be frank, I wasn't even really interested in joining any kind of musical group. But with my mother's persistence, she encouraged me to do something, and a mother can only be persistent in the way that she can, and so I finally yielded her request. I was in the library, standing in front of the printer, probably not really doing anything productive, when I saw a poster with all of the ensembles listed, and decided I would audition for Lee Singers for no other reason than I like the name more than the other ones. Life-changing cannot even begin to describe what my experience has been like with this group. I entered this community of remarkable people with so many questions, so many weaknesses, and so many shortcomings. And what I got in response was equally remarkable. I was met with people who were incredibly bright, intelligent, and determined to pull the very best out of me, and to grow my musicianship in ways that I never really expected when I joined my freshman year. I never really saw myself as someone who was cut out for ministry. And perhaps it's a good thing to see yourself as that every now and then. But with singers, I felt that whenever we ministered to people around the country who were aching for a touch from God, or when we got to sing songs of freedom and chain breaking over prisoners in Cape Town, South Africa, or proclaim the gospel to thousands of people in Colombia and Ecuador, that though I felt incredibly unqualified for that, that feeling was equally tempered with the knowledge that this was exactly the place I wanted to be and the story that God wanted to write. I was pushed academically. One of the many things I'm thankful for at Lee is that it isn't a place that will let you sit in mediocrity. We can choose to bow to mediocrity if that's our preference. But the faculty that I've encountered and known have aimed to elevate my standard for myself and what I feel like is normal. I remember sitting in Denny's at 3 a.m, working on a paper for Skip Jenkins' Intro to Theology class, describing the similarities and differences between the ecclesiology of Huldrych Zwingli and John Calvin, and explicitly thinking to myself, oh, this is what they meant when they said college is difficult. My social life was expanded in some unexpected ways as well. In the spring of 2016, I had the opportunity to rush Theta Delta Kappa and met some of the finest people I've ever known. I was one of those delightful people who sat in the PCSU behind a booth with a painfully superficial smile and pretended that a great way to raise $7,000 in a month is for 8 men to wake up every morning and try to sell cookies 5 times a week. The people I met in Theta were some of the first to show me that growth can't really occur until you're willing to let some walls down. It's incredibly easy for us to march our way through life with a facade of what we think people want to see. But perhaps the truly brave thing to do is to, every now and then, let people see what's really behind the masks that are so easy to put up. And to our surprise, every now and then we may find that we like actually what we see. As full as life is of incredibly serious moments, one of the things that Theta taught me more than anything is that we're under no obligation to take ourselves too seriously. Lee has been great and beyond some of my wildest dreams and expectations. But the moments that ring out to me as the most superb are the ones that I didn't try to plan or force. The trips that I never really planned, the people who can come into your life like lightning and mean so much to you, even though you never really thought they would. And though there's been so much good that has come out of planning and crafting and forging with an intention, the favorite parts of my stories were the ones that, when I decided to finally let go of the pen and see what God wanted to write. Thank you.
I am what is referred to around here as a legacy student. My dad came to Lee from New Jersey and graduated in 1986. I'm not from Cleveland, but Lee's campus has always felt like home. From visiting for homecomings, old friends, and my dad giving unofficial tours to multiple high school students through his various ministry assignments, I've heard all of his Lee stories multiple times, especially the ones about him playing intramural softball. When it was time for me to choose where I was going to go to college, I only applied to 2 schools, Lee and the University of Georgia. Although I was accepted into the University of Georgia's business school, I figured that college football should not be the deciding factor, so I chose Lee. I have pretty much always known that I would end up here because Lee has always felt like home. When I got here, I made the conscious decision to go easy on the extracurricular activities. I wanted to enjoy the break of not having a demanding schedule like I did all throughout high school. But instead of joining all the clubs that Lee has to offer, I got plugged in through my classes at the School of Business. My closest friends today I met in those first few business classes. Starting in our gateway class with Dr. Thompson, to business information systems, marketing, operations management, and now we're ending our time at Lee with strategic management with Dr. Thompson again. I don't know what I would have done without them. We have gotten each other through our hardest classes, faced other challenges together, and supported each other's wins. I came to Lee with the dream of starting my own event planning company. That dream seemed so far off walking onto campus my freshman year. But the more business classes I took, the more excited I got about opening my own business one day. I'm not exactly sure what caused the initial spark, but sometime during my sophomore year, I thought to myself that I could actually do this. It was about this time that my boyfriend's roommate got engaged, and they asked me to help plan the wedding. And little did I know that that yes would be the start to this adventure. A little bit later, I was asked to help plan another wedding. And at this point, I thought that if I was already planning weddings, I might as well be getting paid for it. So I started my company in the middle of school instead of waiting until after graduation. In January of 2018, Elizabeth Events was born. Elizabeth was my great-grandmother's middle name, my grandmother's middle name, and you guessed it, my middle name. In 2018, I was able to book 4 weddings and get the business basics taken care of. Organizing a limited liability company, developing a website, getting insurance, and figuring out how to pay quarterly taxes, all of the essential, not fun sides of entrepreneurship. But what started out slowly got accelerated in 2019. I never thought that my 4 weddings in 2018 would grow to be 18 weddings this year. Most of my weddings, thank you. Most of my weddings have been in my hometown of Nashville, so it's required a lot of traveling. Most of my clients didn't even know that I was a full-time college student traveling over 400 miles to make their wedding dreams a reality. So I really had to learn how to balance being a full-time college student, having an on-campus job, and taking care of my boyfriend's golden retriever puppy, who I claim as my own. If you've come to any intramural football games, you've probably seen him dragging me across the field, trying to say hi to everyone, and trying to play with the football. My time at Lee has been invaluable. It's pushed me in ways I never thought I'd be pushed, but I have been so thankful to be surrounded by students and professors who have encouraged me and helped me along the way. Lee will always have a special place in my heart, and I'm so thankful that I've gotten the opportunity to go to school here. Recently, I've decided that 3.5 years of the Lee experience wasn't enough, so I'm continuing my education online through Lee's MBA program. Thank you, Lee, for stretching me, nurturing my faith, equipping me, and challenging me to be a spiritual influence in the world of business. And if any of you guys get that ring before spring, be sure to look me up, because I'd love to make you feel like a guest at your own wedding.
Yeah. Woo. It's good. Mike's hot. Okay. So my Lee story began long before I was even born. It started in 1987 when Brian and Kathy met and fell in love in Alumni Park. Many years later, I came along. Yeah. Growing up with a dad in ministry was always a challenge. I know there's some PKs in here somewhere, so yeah. I moved around more than the average kid. I lived in Florida, Arizona, Kentucky, finally moved to Tennessee right before my junior year of high school. With that came some more challenges, such as finding great friends and kind of finding my own identity. However, that summer, I attended summer honors, just like my brother had done before me. Those were some of the 2 best weeks of my life. Sadly, some of the friends I had made were about to start their freshman year at Lee, while I, a lowly high schooler, still had senior year. Oh well. Classic case of FOMO, right? So I knew the first chance I got, I had to apply to Lee. During senior year, I was so ready to get here, especially since I started pursuing a girl. Yeah. You remember those friends at summer honors? Well, there was a very attractive blonde named Maggie Mason. So she was about to start her freshman year. I was still in high school. What to do? Well, I took dual enrollment classes that whole year just to hang out with her. Yeah. For 4 months, I tell you, trapped in the pit of despair called the friend zone. Yeah. You might say, hey, young buck, you're not going to get a college girl. Just give up. But I say nay. For 4 months of misery. At the end of that road, she could resist me no longer. I was about to start my time at Lee with the girl I had met at Lee. I could have been standing on the Titanic because I felt like the king of the world. One of the best things about Lee are the connections. My first day on campus, I walked into the bookstore with my dad, and he immediately started talking to one of his good friends from when they were at Lee. Next to the man were his son and nephew, Sam Utt and CJ Owens, who at first thought I was 14 years old, so I can't blame them. It's fine. However, to all of our surprise, we found out that we'd be all living in B.O.B. that year. That first night in the dorm, That first night in the dorm together playing Spud was the start to a lifelong friendship. Another very important connection I never saw coming was seeing Josh Dawson on campus. See, me and Josh had gone on a mission trip to Mexico 2 years before, and I honestly never thought I'd see him again until I saw him on Lee. Thanks to Lee, today I can call him one of my very best friends. So, best friends, girlfriend, checked off the list. However, I wanted to get involved somehow. At first, I thought about joining a choir, since I have the voice of a baby angel. But I didn't want to travel every weekend. Who wants to do that? So, the next semester, I decided to follow in the footsteps of my mom, dad, and brother and rush Upsilon XE. Upsilon taught me to not only stand up for myself, but I can lean on my brothers. It changed the way I looked at school, my relationships, and my faith. And I can thank Upsilon for pushing me to become a better man. While freshman year was exciting, sophomore year, a little rough. It was one of the most fun years of my college experience, which is probably why my GPA took a little dip. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But at the time, I was trying to figure out if elementary education was the right major for me. I am blessed, though, that God placed several people in my life that encouraged me during that time. Some of those people were my professors in the School of Education. They were kind, selfless, and painfully honest, which I did need sometimes. They really challenged me to embrace my potential to become the best teacher I could be. Another very important person that deserves a lot of credit for actually pushing me through that next year and a half of college was my girlfriend, Maggie. She was incredibly caring, beautiful, and she represented Christ so well. So I knew there was one thing I had to do: break up with her. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. No, I'm kidding. But no. Actually, in April of 2018, I asked her to marry me. Yeah. Thank you. She's right here. Right there. The rest of that year consisted of some of my favorite memories. Over the summer, I went to the England and Scotland trip with my new fiance. The people, landmarks, and culture were astonishing. Don't even get me started on the food. I think I had Five Guys twice and McDonald's 3 times, so clearly I branched out. Then, later that fall, I had the honor of being tapped as a big brother into Sigma Nu Sigma. Shout out Fall 18. Those girls in Sigma showed me how to love others unconditionally and how to boast in my weaknesses. During that same semester, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity came. The Lee Centennial Celebration. 100 years, it was big. I still can't believe I was privileged to be a Lee student during that huge milestone. It's amazing to realize that Lee has been changing people's lives, including my own, for over 100 years. And we got a lot of free stuff, so that was cool too. Yeah. But the excitement of junior year collided with senior year, and I remember how the nerves kicked in. I had to become an actual adult. As I struggled my way through methods of teaching, I needed another lifeline. Luckily, my professors came to the rescue once more. The genuine care and investment of our professors sets Lee apart from any other school, and I truly believe that. Despite the challenges, when this semester rolled around, I was more than ready for student teaching. And then this fall brought another important event. As you can tell from this little circle on my finger, Maggie and I got married this October. Yeah. and it is the best decision I ever made. Glad I didn't break up with her. Fast forward to now, there are less than 3 weeks till graduation. You'd think I'd be a little anxious about getting out into the real world, but the truth is I'm just thankful. Lee has given me so much. It's given me lifelong friends, shout out Fab 8. It inspired my calling and identity, and it introduced me to my wife. Lee has shaped me into the baby-faced man I am today, and I cannot be more grateful. Thank you.
We are so thankful for our seniors and for the incredible privilege and honor that we have to celebrate with them. And the cool thing is that's only 5, probably, of the many, many stories that are here. So I know that for some of you, this is probably very similar to your story. For some of you, this is probably different from your story. But the point is that God has a story for every single one of us here at Lee. And whether you're a freshman or whether you're a senior is not the question that you need to worry about today. The question you need to worry about today is, where is God leading you on this journey while you're here at Lee? And He will continue to do that as long as you're willing and you are open to do so. So before we close out Chapel Day, a couple quick announcements that I want to make. We have our Christmas tree lighting coming up on Monday, December the 2nd at 6 p.m., right? That's a big event for us. So you want to come out for that. We're going to have hot chocolate there. I think Mr. and Mrs. Claus are going to be there celebrating with us that day, so you want to make sure you're there. And then again, for Thanksgiving lunch, if you're going to be on campus for Thanksgiving, we want to know that we want to be a part of your story with that as well. And so in the administration building at 12 o'clock noon on Thanksgiving Day, we have a lunch for you. Please try to RSVP for that event. I must be missing something because I'm laughing. Is it me? Is it this face? Is it something? Just kidding. But we're so thankful for our senior stories again. Will you please stand with me to close out for the benediction? Let's pray together. Now let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. God bless.